everyone, and welcome to the Trending in My Life podcast, episode 18. This week, I want to talk about when things are tough times, how we feel, how we cope, what we do to get through tough times. Are you feeling like this? Is it where you're at the moment? Life is rough, ups and downs, and when you're in the middle of tough times, it can feel like there's no end in sight, no hope to cling to, no light at the end of the tunnel. But I want to tell you that there is, and you have to believe that hope that things will get better, that life will turn around, and you'll be happy once again. That day is coming, and I want you to hang in there, and you'll see it too. So how did it happen? Life was okay, wasn't it? Not incredible, but it was okay. And then something happened, and it wasn't. Not anymore. And then there you are, going through tough times. But how? Why? When? Perhaps there was an incident, an accident, an epic fail, a moment you can't even remember that triggered it all. It may have been one of those cascading things. You lost your job, then your house, then your partner, and then you just didn't seem to be able to get it back on track. You want to hit reverse and get back to what you had, but it's impossible because you're not that same person anymore. All those circumstances that you lived through changed you. Maybe the tough times you're going through had made you feel weaker because it's all too much, so much to handle. You want to shut yourself in your room and hide under the duvet and not have to face the world and deal with the tough times. Perhaps the tough times have made you feel stronger, that you're not a pushover anymore, you're hard, stand up for yourself because no one else will. People better not mess with you about or they'll see you won't stand any nonsense. You may go through feeling weaker before you develop that tougher shell, that harder stance, that sharper voice, and that feeling of becoming stronger through the adversity you faced. For some people, tough times are short-lived and pass within a few months. For others, tough times may last years. It depends on the circumstances. There are many different scenarios, and I'm only going to touch on a few and give some suggestions if you're going through tough times. Sometimes it's not a big moment when change happens, but it creeps up on you. Let's say you ran up a whole load of credit card debt, but after a while of sticking your head in the sand and pretending it wasn't happening, you did it and went to a debt counsellor for advice. You cut up your credit cards and felt it was all plain sailing now. You'd done the tough bit, or had you? Then fast forward a month or two, and there you are on a tight budget, trying to decide if you can have tuna and sweet corn on your baked potato, and telling yourself you can't. You have to choose one and keep the other for tomorrow. You don't even really want to eat both, but it's not being able to that's the thing that grates on your nerves. The debt is coming down a bit at a time. You feel it's a drop in the ocean, and in the meantime you're stuck in the gloom and not being able to have 2 toppings on your baked potato. No, only one. It would be wrong to say you'd got the blues, because it goes way beyond that. You feel lost in the tough times. You allow yourself to remember when you used to walk in any store and buy whatever you wanted and just whip out those credit cards. You got so you didn't even look at how much you spent. You had a plastic bag filled with receipts, and somehow your mind tricked you into thinking because you'd kept all the receipts, you could always return things, all those things you bought on a whim but didn't really need. 2 coffee machines because one had a frother and the other didn't. You could have bought a milk frother separately, but no, you had to have a whole new coffee maker. The shoes you bought 2 pairs of, but then decided you didn't like the look of them and couldn't be bothered to take them back. The more you run those thoughts through your mind, the more you realise how stupid it all was, and how smart you are now. I mean, how on earth did you end up paying $500 per month in subscriptions? But you'd never gone through all those payments, going out of your bank account until the day the debt counsellor helped you do just that. So here you are, in the tough times. Years working 2 part-time jobs, anything you could return with receipts you did, and anything you could sell you listed on eBay. Things sold for a fraction of the price that you'd paid for them, but every little counts as you chip away paying back your debt. It's tough, and some days you just feel so lost, like it will never end. But it will. And you did the incredibly brave thing of facing up to the fact that you had to stop spending. You're the hero in your own life because you saved you from financial ruin, which could ultimately have landed you in jail. Never doubt how brave you are. You can do this. You can get up every day and go to work and earn money to pay off that debt and be free of the burden and the guilt that's held you down for so long. What if your tough times are linked to where you are? You may have moved with high hopes of a different life. It was all new and exciting until it wasn't. Until it was just not what you thought it would be. Not like home. You get ignored, overlooked, and you were suddenly a small fish in a big pond, and you felt invisible. Then as time passed, you felt lonely. What happened to the popular person that everyone smiled at and who got invited to all those parties? Guys wanted to be cool like you, girls wanted to date you, then somehow, and you don't really understand why, but somehow no one seemed to care whether you were at the party or in a group, sat having coffee. You were on the outside looking in. And yes, you're lonely. You feel the lack of everything. When you go for a walk, you feel the lack of someone to walk and talk alongside you. When you're buying food, you haven't got a friend there to ask if you should try this or that. You feel unable to change the circumstances. You're trapped in tough times, wanting it all to change, but not feeling able to make it happen. You can't magically order up a best friend to hang out with. You've become sceptical. Are people what they initially pretend to be? Can you trust anyone? For fear of being let down and disappointed again, you've shut yourself away in your room, talking online and wishing you didn't ever have to leave your room and face the outside world again. My thoughts here, in these circumstances, are that you should make yourself go out every day. Show up to those missed classes. Don't allow yourself to wallow in self-pity. Tough times will pass, but you need to take action too. If you're being ignored by classmates, don't let them win by seeing how unhappy it's making you. If people call you names, rise above it, like you just don't care, because they want a reaction to make you miserable. And if they see that in you, they'll keep coming back for more. If you give them your bored look, this is not worth your time look, and walk away because you've better places to be and things to do, and actually you do. No matter where in the world you are, there will be places that you can walk that are free, nature to look at and strangers to smile and say good morning to. There will be somewhere you can find where all the unkind stuff drifts into the background. There are those bookshops with chairs scattered around that you can just pick a book up off the shelf and start to read. Well, you're trying to decide if it's right for you before you buy. A lot of bookshops have free-to-attend author talks, where someone who's written a book will do a talk before signing their book if you want to buy one. It's somewhere to go for free, and you don't have to buy the book. There's always places looking for volunteers, thrift stores, animal shelters, read a book to a blind person, that kind of thing. You'll be doing a good deed, but you'll be amongst people who are probably going to like you simply because you're here, giving up your free time to help. There are groups advertised in meetups of all different types. You can join a group of foreign students all helping each other learn to speak more fluent English. Join a book group, often advertised in libraries. Go on a walking tour. There are lots led by someone doing something specific, like photography, where they're stopping at scenic areas. Some of these cost money, but others are free with a voluntary donation at the end where you just give what you can afford. If you join a gaming group, you'll all be interested in the same thing, so you can start a conversation more easily. Just don't be put off if one group is a fail. Try another, and another, and another. It'll fill the lonely hours. It will get you out and about. You'll meet different people. You'll never be short of stories to tell of your long list of tried this and that as well. I say this to give you hope, because once you have a little hope, it can go a long way. It can grow with your confidence and feelings of self-worth. You have a lot to give, and just keep trying till you find the right people to appreciate you for who you are. Also, don't ever be afraid to seek out counselling for emotional support if it's available. There's no stigma attached to this, as we live in an age where celebrities discuss their mental health and well-being all the time. Asking for help when you need it is the bravest thing you can do. There's also the scenario where you feel you simply don't fit in. You're the square peg in the round hole. You don't speak the same as people around you because of your accent. You don't understand their jokes, which don't make any sense or seem funny. You dress differently, and it's how everyone did back in your own country. When you try and be part of the conversation, it falls flat. You get one-word answers, and then everyone starts talking about football and teams and players that you've never heard of. No matter how hard you try, you still feel shut out, on the outside, looking in. Sometimes this situation changes by itself, in that one or two members leave the group and aren't around. They've gone off back home to another part of the UK or found work somewhere and left the learning environment. The group feels different and welcomes your input to a conversation, asks you questions to continue it, or perhaps they need your help with some knowledge or aspect of a project and want you as part of their group and actively seek you out to join their study group or social meetups. In any case, whether that happens or not, you need to focus on your own well-being. If you're not wanted by one group, seek out a different kind of group. There are just as many kind people in the world as there are mean and spiteful ones. You just have to keep a lookout for them. Whatever you're interested in outside of your studies, look for a group meetup for that. If you don't know what that is, look online for what's on London or what's on your city and a date or month, and also add the word free, and once you're on the website, you'll see what you can do. I did that last weekend and then went to a sculpture exhibition in a park after work. I did video some of it but decided it wasn't YouTube material and in fact wasn't really inspiring me. But equally, I observed the mix of other people wandering around, stopping and looking at the pieces and how fascinated they were in certain ones. So whilst they weren't appealing to me, other people were enjoying and admiring them. Everyone's taste in art is individual. What I got out of that trip to the park was don't dismiss things because it doesn't interest you, just realise how different people embrace different ideas. There were also some fun squirrels to watch, and the journey there had been on different tube lines to ones I usually use, so I'd added to my knowledge of the transport system, always a positive to be had out of anywhere you go. So if you did find a free event or a place to visit, you have to realise it may not be what you were expecting, but you also can walk away with one thing. You went out, you filled some time, and usually, at whatever it is, you can casually say hi to someone sat or stood next to you and ask them something to start conversation. If you're at an exhibit of something like art, you could say to the person next to you, "I'm not sure what to think of this. What do you think of it?" You could comment on how busy or full the room is and ask the person near you if they came far. Especially in a city, attendees might have travelled in from the outskirts for an hour or walked there just a few minutes from a nearby place. If it's an event, you can often be told by the speaker to stand and turn to the person on your left or right to introduce yourself. If it's that kind of event, these exercises are done as an icebreaker. If you attend a university, remember there are others, possibly nearby, who do free public talks for the general public, so you don't have to attend that university to attend the talks. I do this just to broaden my knowledge of the world and try and remember one fact from each thing I attend. Even if the topic isn't very interesting, you can observe people interacting with each other and just learn random things. At weekends, search online for open-air markets to visit and wander around, or car boot sales, where people sell things on a blanket or a table in a car park or a field. Anything from clothes to old bric-a-brac oddments like ornaments from homes. You can go without buying anything, but you might find something you want, and store sellers will usually be happy to chat about items. Be careful though to carry your money out of sight in a secure pocket or worn in a bag on the inside of your coat, as crowded places like this make easy pickings for pickpockets to steal from you. Just be aware of that. Over the years, I've gone to lots of places to attend things that I'm not even particularly interested in, but just to fill time and expose myself to different places and people. The self-help, self-development or confidence-building topic is often one where companies and individuals run one-off free events. At the end, they may want your details or get you to sign up to a further session that's paid for. You must be firm and say that although it was interesting, you don't want to take it any further. If you're prepared in advance, you can have set phrases to use. I don't want to feel pressured into making a decision right now, but I'll think about it. It's just not the right time. I have too much else going on right now, family stuff, I need to focus on that. But it was very interesting. If they do get your email, you can just unsubscribe or ask to be removed from their mailing list later on. All these things, art galleries, museums, car rallies, walking groups, playing chess in the park and volunteering, can take the focus off the small circle of people or group you are feeling left out of. You become aware of the much bigger picture, the larger world, the opportunities to meet more people and learn more things unrelated to your field of study. Saying hi or bye, have a nice evening to people who sit or stand next to you is an interaction which may or may not continue into a conversation and future friendship. But you've not isolated yourself from the possibilities, and possibilities are a wonderful thing. Whatever career you're planning to have years ahead can also be a topic to attend events. If in 3 years' time you want to be a trader, selling and buying shares for clients, visit the financial district, wander around, get to know the names of the buildings, watch how people coming and going dress, choose one you'd like to dress like one day. There are zillions of free events to teach people to trade their own money with the warning, you should never spend what you aren't comfortable in losing. Their objective isn't to put you on the streets homeless and penniless. You can always attend and make it clear you're there to observe how this all works for trying to establish a career in 3 or 5 years' time and can't invest in their training right now. You'll be sat along some people who are there for a get-rich-quick scheme, and you'll have speakers wanting to recruit you and sell their course or sign up yourself. Their business is to win you over, and observing their technique can be a learning tool, showing you how it's done, whether it's good or bad practice to use. Something for you to decide. Don't be taken in if you feel it's high-pressure selling or fooled into investing what you haven't got. Be strong. Or you could attend an author talk by someone in the field you want to work in. This might be in a bookshop or organised by a college or uni, and often the book is a biography, a retrospective of their life and times. What's usually apparent is it's not all plain sailing for anyone, and they've gone through their own tough times too. So in some way you feel you can relate. You don't have to buy their book. At all events, you can always say, sorry, I need to dash to catch my train or bus to get home, when someone tries to stop and sell you something at the door. If there's a Q&A session at the end of something you attend, this can be interesting to stay and listen to. You don't have to ask a question, but you can if you want. Sometimes, though, they'll only give 3 people a chance to ask, and then the session's ended. so don't be offended if you don't get a turn. And make it a single question. I've heard people ask questions in several parts, like, if A happens, do you consider B a good route, or would you consider C? And if so, would you then D, E, or F? And you can almost feel the person who has to answer the question groan at the length of that question, which is actually several questions. These people want the spotlight. They want it on their question and hog the microphone being passed around. They're being unfair to everyone else in the room. Don't be that person, please. Keep your question simple and straightforward. So now I've given you some suggestions about going out and about when you're going through tough times. Let's talk about wondering if it's all a big mistake, and how that dilemma puts you right in the middle of the tough time zone. That question you ask yourself when life isn't working out quite as you expected. You feel unsure and start questioning whether being in the place you are, studying what you're studying, wanting that career, working in that field, being in that relationship is right for you, was the right choice. You suddenly feel uncertain of your direction in life. The worst thing is you've lost that basic anchor to the path you thought was set. It may not be a true reading on your goal because it's being influenced by other factors. The city you moved to wasn't as great as you expected. People on your course in general aren't as friendly as you'd hoped. Your living accommodation is a bit run down or gloomy. The area you're living in is a bit rough, and you have to be careful to be home by 8 o'clock to keep yourself safe. Your neighbour at your accommodation may be drinking a lot, being loud, playing music when you're trying to sleep or study. Your tutors may be strict and have a set teaching style you find difficult, and the projects and assignments seem harder than you expected. All or some of that could be influencing your questioning whether it's all a big mistake. So is it? You need an answer to that before you quit and walk away. Grab a piece of paper and think back to when you first decided to follow this path. Put a big balloon in the middle of your page and write the date or the year when that was, and what you wanted to be, the ultimate goal that started it all. Above it, write the motivation that you had at that time. Say you wanted to be an architect, and that started as a child because your mother or father had that career. But it might have been more recent, and as you come to the end of high school, you went to see a show and realised acting was the world for you. In all cases, some friend or relative will have put forward a negative point to you following your dream. Do you recall that and what you said in response? Write down their words under the centre balloon at the bottom of the page and put a big X through it. Then write what you said in reply. Now around the sides, start to write all the steps you had to take to arrive where you are now, like applications, organising travel, accommodation, orientation, 1 or 2 comments like easy or difficult next to each one. Now looking back at the original goal, ask yourself yes or no. Do you still want that? If all the bits you've written around that faded away, if all the years of study and obstacles became simple and easy to deal with, would you still want to be that career goal in the middle? No buts, no what ifs. Do you still want to be that? If the answer is yes, then you have that goal to hold on to, a base for all your other actions. You may be able to seek out a mentor in the industry you want to work in to talk about how they dealt with obstacles they found in the way of their goal. A career counsellor or just a counsellor at your place of study may help you talk through your options. There's usually more than one way of reaching the career you want, and maybe a longer internship working within the field you've chosen with part-time study may be a route you prefer, or at least want to consider. You don't have to lose the dream of being what you want to be, but you may have to look at your path to get there, so that the possibilities have all been considered. In the meantime, whilst you're going through tough times, hold on to the routines and certainties you have and can control. There are parks and libraries to go in for free where you can look at nature, breathe fresh air, or read books on all kinds of subjects, or sit and study. You don't have to go to the libraries within your university. You can go to others for a change of scenery in the city where you are. Those often have notices up about free events they are holding too. If you looked at your goal and said, "No, I don't want that anymore," that's also okay. Sometimes family influenced a goal and a career path, following in other relatives' footsteps, or to join the family business. At that point, ask yourself, okay, what do I truly want to do or be? You may not know instantly. You may need a lot of long walks for it to come to you. But when it does, find out from your uni if you can switch courses. Talk to career counsellors about how to reach your new goal and the path to take. Unis and colleges are used to students switching courses and dropping out in the first 3 months of study. As people, those students go through a whole lot of changes and a reality check on what's ahead for the next 3 years. Some drop out because they want to study in an area or country closer to home and can continue studying there. Others just change their focus and realise the career path isn't the direction they truly want to pursue and switch their studies to a different field. Some get a part-time job which led to being offered a full-time job, and they realise they want to be working, not studying at all. If any of these scenarios relate to you, I sincerely wish you the best of luck figuring it out. You're not alone, and there are many people just like you going through tough times. Take baby steps to deal with the dilemma, and gradually you'll work your way through it. Get counselling or advice where it's available, and ask for help, because that's a brave step to take. You can do it. Remember, when you wake up every day, you're awesome, and you've got this. You can do it. I hope you enjoyed this podcast and that it helps some people see their way through tough times. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and come back next time. Bye for now.